smart, efficient way. And I felt like the best way to give you an idea of that was to kind of give you a case study and bring you through the various stages of capturing data, analysing it, adding value to it. And I'll use one of our key clients in this case study. So I'll just get this sorted. Just to give you a bit of background, the company is called iGeotec. We are a university spin-out. We're based out in Maynooth. We're in a business incubation centre there. We were formed in 2012, and essentially the team is made up of geospatial experts. So that just simply means experts in handling and managing all kinds of spatial data sets. So that might be satellite data, it might be any GPS data, map data. And what we effectively do is collate and merge all of these data sets into user-friendly platforms. And these platforms will be used for decision makers, for example. They may not have the expertise themselves to ingest and collate and understand all of these layered data sets. So what we do is we take kind of all the pains out of that and give it to them in a nice kind of point and click platform. So smart data capture, what I mean by that is we would basically encourage our users to move away from manual ways of capturing data. So what I mean by manual would be your pen and paper. And that's of course if the client wants to go that way. So we're not let's say forcing anybody. If the client comes to us and say we need to do things more efficiently, we have a range of different solutions that can be tailored to the client's needs. So some of the smart data capture methods might be using drones or you'd mount sensors on drones and you would capture an array of different images, videos, any kind of really environmental variables very easily, an awful lot more cost efficient than, let's say, clients previously hiring helicopters or any kind of aircraft to undertake expensive flights. What we would work with would be using smartphones, tablets, and these kind of smart cameras. So a lot of cameras now do much more than take photographs. They have embedded GPS systems, so they actually understand whereabouts in the world they are when they're capturing a particular photograph. What our company is specialised in doing is being able to encode a video, for instance, with a GPS location at every single frame of the video. So prior to that, if you do record a video, your smartphone, for example, will know the very start location of where you began recording that video. It will not, unfortunately, be able to tell you whereabouts in the world you've continued on that track throughout your video recording. So we've been able to encode video with GPS readings. And I'll give you an example of how that was actually used in practical terms. Our case study was involving Transport Infrastructure Ireland. So these were previously the NRA. And not to bore you with the details, but effectively there was an EU directive, and that was to do with road infrastructure safety management. And cut a long story short, effectively what all EU member states were obliged to do now was capture information and data on the state of the road from a road safety perspective. So that meant all road safety infrastructure. And what I mean by that is signs, lines, road safety barriers, and that included tunnels, motorways and national roads. So we're all obliged now to undertake road safety inspections, manage that data, adopt guidelines across the EU, and all EU member states had to basically exchange best practices. So they were coming across a particular method to undertake the road safety inspections, that they would share this on an EU level with the equivalent NRAs across Europe. And that in this way they would continuously improve all of their methodologies. So the Transport Infrastructure Ireland came to us and said, okay, we have a problem. We have to undertake road safety inspections, and that means we have to drive the route, we have to identify any hazards along the road. In order for us to do that, when we actually identify a hazard, we have to get out of the car, we have to get a GPS reading, we also need to mark it on our map whereabouts we are, we need to take a photograph, and we need to fill out a site inspection report. And then when they get back to the office, they actually had to collate all of this data for every single hazard. and that could be 10 hazards per 1 kilometre. So you can imagine on a network of thousands of kilometres just how long and how cumbersome that task can be. And what I mean by collating the data, it essentially meant if they had photographs, they'd have to insert hyperlinks of the photo into a column in an Excel spreadsheet, and then next to that, in a comments column, they'd have to fill out what was on their inspection, their manual notes. They'd have to input the GPS location in another column. So this was very timely, really cumbersome. And as TII had said to us, we've got a number of subcontractors. We want to be able to view all of this data in one really simple cloud platform. Because if you can imagine, over the course of a whole network, it's going to be very hard to collate all of this data, getting different spreadsheets in from different subcontractors, and essentially we want to make the experience of this as easy as possible. So our brief was, they needed to be able to, with our system, collect data. It needed to be able to be processed and collated really easily. It needed to be user-friendly, obviously comply with the EU directive, and it needed to be adaptable. So as best practice was improving, we needed to be able to adapt and bring in and develop new tools and features within this cloud platform. And finally, it needs to be accessible in terms of TII wanted to be able to, at any particular moment, see what each of their subcontractors were doing, what part of the works had they undertaken, and what was still outstanding. And finally, they said, okay, we don't have any money. We can't get our subcontractors to be investing in very expensive equipment, so no expensive equipment, and also no additional expertise. So these are civil engineers undertaking this, and we can't be sending them on expensive training courses. I said, okay. So our solution was UbiPix, and we've kind of given it the tagline. It's a complete GPS video. Use either GPS-enabled dash cams or our smartphone application to capture the actual video of the road transect. So when you're getting in and you're doing a route, the N2, the N4, you're pressing record on your dash cam, you're recording the route, you get back to the office, and it's here where you upload your video onto our cloud platform, and you can view your video back alongside Google Maps, and at this point you're reviewing your video and then you're inputting any of the hazards that you're coming across. So that might mean problems with the visibility of a particular sign, damage to a safety barrier, faded lines, faded markings, things like that. And automatically then in our cloud-based platform, these tags come up on the map. So at any particular point, you'll be able to zoom in, click on that pinpoint, and up comes a tagging report. And this is what TII asked us to implement for their road safety inspections. They needed these various bits of information. They had to be able to assign a hazard, a risk to each hazard, and the likelihood of a hazard having an effect on road safety. Another particular feature of it was that it needed to be able to be reviewed by a second reviewer. So everything was done independently of TII, and they all needed independent second reviewers. So if you were making a recommendation on a particular road junction, for instance, and you said we need a new junction layout, we need to either increase the lane width, all of this had to be reviewed by an independent reviewer. So you needed this accessibility, as I mentioned earlier, that some other subcontractor could log on to your data and go down through your recommendations and either approve them or else give another recommendation. So then you're going back finally to your reporting. So you've made all your tags of your particular national route, and just to give you a tiny little snapshot of what that might look like, instead now of you having to collate all that data with your photographs, your GPS, your comments, it's all effectively done within our system at the click of a button. You just download CSV file, and all of your information is already in that CSV file. So this will just give you an example. When you're coming to the UbiPix platform, we obviously had a dedicated server and account for TII. You're just putting in your email, your password, you're logging in, and straight away you can view any of the videos that you've actually recorded. They'll be able to give you what channel they're in. So you'll assign the channel. So that might be Donegal channel, it might be an N4 channel, an M50 channel, and so on. It'll give you the date that the survey was undertaken. It'll also be there for you to be able to view this video multiple times. So very often what what happens is you'll get pulled away from your desk, and essentially everything's there. It's not going anywhere, so that you can actually review it without kind of being under time pressure. You know that it's going to be there. And of course, you can set the privacy setting. If you need somebody else to access your video, it's just being set as public or private. So that's just a brief snapshot of what it might look like if you're logging on. You can have a list view, as I showed you there, or simply a map view. So this might be all of the blue lines will be the routes that have been surveyed. And you'll get a full network view of the whole island of Ireland and all of the routes. As I said, TII have surveyed the entire national motorway routes. And without confusing things, I just took a snapshot of some from Donegal, so you can zoom in at any particular point, as I said. This was really handy for TII if they wanted to get a sense of what were the key issues. You can colour code them according to hazard type, so they could very clearly and quickly see what were the main issues occurring on a particular route, what were the main risks, and what was the likelihood associated with each of them. And of course, you're able to view them. Oh, lovely! Okay. You're able to view them on Google Satellite, visible Google. So I don't know, yeah, we're back. So just to kind of cut to the chase as to what were the kind of benefits that we were able to deliver to TII, well, quite simply it was we saved them 35% in time when they were out on site doing their surveys. They no longer had to get in and out of the vehicle every time they came across a particular hazard. They could now simply drive the route at a survey speed. They could either tag in the field where they came across hazards, or they could do this back in the office. Back in the office, they were saving half the time, where they usually used to have to input all that information into their own CSV. They now had this automated system. Once they had input their data, it was really available there for them to download at the click of a button. You were no longer carrying out manual data collection, as I said, which could be quite dangerous at the side of the road. So it could be said that you are drastically improving worker safety. I know from speaking to each of the engineers and each of the subcontractors, they were much happier with being able to press record, drive the route, and then come back in the safety of their desk and undertake their inspection from there. So applications for the construction sector. So we would typically work on infrastructural projects, on outdoor projects. The key to the software that we would provide is that it's all related to GPS, so location-based information, which requires projects to be outdoors. So in this regard, it wouldn't necessarily include anything within buildings or within structures. We see it as being used as a snagging tool for a lot of outdoor projects. You actually are enabling your client to keep a real-time record of work that's in progress and any outstanding tasks that you may have. You're able to pinpoint exactly where they are, who's responsible for them. You can crucially share this information with your subcontractors and your colleagues, and you can manage your data all in one place, one cloud platform, and you have access anywhere in the world. So a lot of the time, if you're undertaking projects in different jurisdictions, you can quite simply ask your colleague to log on, give your second review. They could be in Abu Dhabi, they could be in Dublin, they could be in America. So that's pretty much it. That's some of our clients. We've got our UbiPix application is available for download in all of the app stores. and I'm happy to take any questions.